went into Smith's mode.
Yeah.
Like weird Smith's mode.
He's so good. It's
locked
insane.
in. He's like, okay,
yeah,
fine. You just want to go heavy? I'll go heavy too. I don't care.
You went there.
I'm violent.
You went there.
He did.
And you.
He did.
And
me,
yes.
Well, me, I was just waiting. I was like brooding the whole time.
Oh.
I thought that I thought that I had more music than I thought to back with. And then when in the moment, and then I looked at it all, I actually had nothing.
Really?
Yeah. I just felt, that's why I was like, I had like one song, and then I felt like so out of place because I was like, I only came with this one playlist for tonight.
Yeah.
I came with no backups.
Well, when you hit the Wook stuff, I mean,
Well, the Wook stuff was different. My whole set, I had 100 songs like prepared for that of the heavy stuff.
It was perfect.
But I was just waiting for permission because I didn't want to be the guy who's going to go and be like, oh, hey, I'm going to go and change the vibe and make it like slow and low and heavy and dark.
Yeah.
But then,
he brought it there, right?
But then Carson like gave me permission for it. It wasn't me. I was like, okay, fine. Okay, gloves are off now.
It worked.
Gloves are off now. Now I can play. Now I can play. Now I can bring all the milkshakes to the yard.
I'm glad you did because it set up like resetting the mood like really well for the.
Did you ever actually listen to the link I sent you?
What, to the folder? No, not yet. Not yet.
Shame.
Clean up, into work, into this. Now I'm here. It's like I teleported through time.
You teleported through time.
Thanks, work.
Happened.
Yeah.
It's like that. So did we.
And like every day after work this week, I've just been cleaning up. So
from the party,
there's glitter everywhere. Yeah.
Glitter.
Yeah.
Don't remember the glitter.
Well, this like paint that people had like giant, like not small glitter, but like those hexagonal cutouts of glitter, and they're just everywhere.
You gotta get learning to get the biodegradable stuff.
I think it is actually, but it's like on my hardwood floor.
Oh
so,
yeah, well then.
Yeah.
You're gonna...
And the Roomba, it's like too flat against the floor for the Roomba to pick up. It does nothing. It just pushes it around. Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna have glitter on you for like 3 weeks.
Yeah, I find it like in my arm hair and stuff. Like I wake up, I'm like, oh, well, okay.
When I did Sets of Sunset, that was my biggest problem, is that all the people had glitter on them. And hug everybody, and then you're just like a glitter queen for at least 3 weeks.
Yes.
That is very much.
I don't want to be going to work, glitter all over my face. Yeah, I do a glitter check.
You're gonna be too.
Now there's 2 checks. There's cat hair check, which is daily, and I get the cat hair
check.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. All of my pants and everything, because Cora will say goodbye to me at the door.
But what do you do? You have like a lint roller right beside the door?
Many. Yes, we have an arsenal. We have 2, like 1 or 2 in each car, 1 in the front door. I mean, it's a thing.
You use like the sticky ones you got to rip off.
Yes.
You use like a reusable. Okay.
Yeah, the sticky ones are pretty good. I mean, they're cheap and they last a long time. So
the thing that I found, especially with when my dog is around, I get the ones that are the reverse fabric.
Oh yeah,
seen those? Like they come.
I have seen those
normally.
Yeah,
those have been super helpful for like not going through all the reusable sticky ones.
Maybe we switch to
that. Do like 1 or 2 rolls. You're like done. It's like you roll it and you're like, oh, rip it off.
Yep.
Got to do it again.
Yep.
But the fabric ones, you can at least like.
I don't know. I might convert to that because we go through a lot. So
I bet you that's probably a high income. I can go buy item. Rolling.
How bougie are you? What level are your lint rollers?
Lint rollers. Yeah. Well, we're here. We're live. Run a Show podcast. Thank you guys so much for tuning in.
Thanks for having me.
Well, I didn't even say your name yet.
Is that it?
You didn't even let me get to the
Bye,
intro
guys.
part. Oh my
Thanks
God.
for having me.
It's already broken. Turn off the stream. We're going home. This is welcome to the show, Hollace. Glad to have you in.
Thank you,
Cody. We're here. We have worked. How long have we known each other for? A long time.
Beginning of Access Replay, which would be 17, almost 10 years probably.
Almost 10 years. What I think the first time that I met you was when I was DJing DreamHack.
Oh yes,
did
yes.
Big tour where we
were you opening for?
Yeah.
Who was it?
Slushy and Kill the Noise.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was opening for Slushy and Kill the Noise at DreamHack, and then I met you.
Was I? I was in CS. I was on. I'm pretty
sure.
You were
at Access.
I was at the booth.
Well, I don't know if you were at the booth. We were on the tour because we were at High Res, and then we were hanging out.
Oh yeah, Esports Week.
We were like, "Hi, I'm Hollace.
Yeah,
I do esports.
I do. I do things.
I'm a DJ. I don't know nothing about no esports.
So that would have been what? Yeah, almost 10 years ago.
Holy shit!
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's crazy.
Time has flown.
Yes,
time has flown.
Lots of adventures in between.
Lots of adventures in between. Well, happy to have you here on the show.
Thank you.
With all Black
my website.
Oh, it's the website. Okay.
Yeah.
Was that from?
This is during an offset show at the top of a building in downtown Atlanta. It was.
Oh, was that show?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. I think that's Rick. Oh no, that is offset on the screen. Yeah. No, but then opening for him was Rick Ross, I want to say. Yeah, that was
RoS for that?
Yeah.
Nice. Well, usually on the show, introduce people, the people at home watching this, who you are, what you do, how you got here. I'll leave the floor to you.
Okay. Well, I'm Hollace, Hartsfield Bain the Fifth. Don't get it wrong.
The Bain.
Okay.
I got it wrong off camera.
Just don't
I'm
get it
I'm
wrong.
gonna call it out. I will say I got it wrong off
I'll
camera.
be really mad at you if you get that wrong.
Sorry.
But no, I'm right now I'm a broadcast engineer. Before being a broadcast at Warner Brothers Discovery. And throughout my broadcasting career, I've been graphics op, A1, TD, all the roles on the line. Never done lighting. But yeah, no, I started.
Never too late.
Never too late. I don't want to do. No.
Be a grip.
No. Yeah, anything on the production line I've touched and done professionally at some point. I started as a camera operator at my mom's church when I was 11 or 12, and worked. Geez, it was like every Sunday for a few years. So,
This is like circa 2016 before that.
No, when I was 12, so this would have been, yeah, that's when I first got introduced to broadcasting. And after a few years on camera for the church broadcasts, they let me into the control room where I saw the switcher and the audio board and everything, and it completely mesmerized me. So when I got to high school, I made it a point to join the broadcast class there. And I was in that class for 3 years. Every single broadcasting class they offered at Walton, I just signed up for. And eventually got to be the student director of that broadcast for the last year, in my senior year. Ironically, never TD'd the show. I mean, I did maybe once or twice, but it wasn't a dedicated TD there, which ended up becoming my main role when I eventually got my first proper broadcast job as production manager at Access Replay. Before that, I was in like marketing.
You in marketing?
Yeah, that's actually how I got my first job at E-League.
Wild.
Yeah.
So, talk to me about that. So you went to E-League.
Yeah. So during college, I was a sophomore. They brought a Counter-Strike tournament to Turner TBS, and I saw it. I saw an ad for it. I was like, there's no way I'm not gonna try and work this in any capacity. And leading up to that point, the only other professional job I had was doing marketing material for the Panther dining services at Georgia State.
Okay.
So I was doing like editorial cuts and promos for them for about a year and a half, and just showed up at Turner after getting a couple emails from a connection I had there, and just vomited all the Counter-Strike knowledge. What is that? My HLT? What is that?
I see us go. Your Counter-Strike.
Oh yeah.
Well,
huh.
Hey, you got some prize money.
Yeah.
Snap.
It's missing a ton actually.
You're professional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, I vomited all my Counter-Strike knowledge to the people who were looking for contractors there at TBS, and got so lucky to get a marketing job there. And I was just basically responsible for helping them set up their Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, all the social media at the time, and trying to like educate all the actual TBS professionals there who had nothing to do with Counter-Strike and knew nothing about it. I would help them in their approach to some marketing campaigns, and they liked it so much. We got a lot of traction just being trolls, and just they put
that time the social media.
Yes, it blew up. I mean, we hit like 100,000 followers within a week. And so then once the show started, once the actual broadcast started, me and 3 other people, I think their names were Will and Jordan, we all were in charge of taking clips from the live show and posting them to social media. Like there were no guardrails. Like we could just clip it and post it with whatever we wanted. Some of them blew up and were funny. Others were so much
large
hate.
Corporate. That's pretty wild.
Yeah. Well, what's funny is Adult Swim was actually in charge of like the approach. Yeah. So they just didn't
do what you
care.
want, man.
Yeah.
Whatever's it.
So that was fun. That was like my first job. I worked there for like 2 years and got to go up to the big boy control rooms and just was like, all right, marketing's not it. I just felt this draw to go back to what I did in high school and before that. So then after working one more collegiate esports marketing job, I was mainly just falling in love with the actual clip production and the video production of everything. So then I worked my way into some of the broadcasts as a caster. I was a horrible caster, but
you were a I felt like you have the voice for casting, though.
Yeah, I was a bit too. I don't say I would say play by play is not my strong suit. I would have been a better color caster, but for some reason I insisted on being play by play. It was just the worst decision ever. But yeah, no, I casted. I actually CS and Overwatch for a while, and then Access Replay, this company, approached me about working there in a more hands-on, like technical aspect. I started out marketing for them before they even had a brick and mortar location. But once we got that location, I made sure to, just start pivoting more and more towards production. And eventually they made me production manager there. And that's where I got to learn OBS, vMix, proper audio interfaces and soundboards and how to mic people up. What does good lighting look like? What does wireless solutions look like on a camera? Like I just learned it grassroots style.
By far.
Yeah, absolutely. Failed a lot, learned a lot. Eventually, like we saw in the beginning, ended up working like offset shows and stuff with that same company. Just learned a ton at that job. That's where I got the majority of my. Geez, I want to say I probably have I counted at one point, but over 1,700 vMix shows.
1,700 vMix shows?
Yeah.
You counted them all?
For my resume building before I got my current role, I was trying to count them all, and it's a lot
of shows.
And it comes down to we had 2 daily tournaments at Access.
That you'd stream.
Yes. So I got so many reps, and that's how I learned the Google API integration when it first came out in vMix and all that. But yeah, the majority of my vMix, maybe not the majority now, but back then, I really learned
pretty
vMix.
Heavy OBS, and then
I was breaking OBS.
You were breaking OBS, and then you saw vMix, and you're like,
and it was a nice fit. I mean, it took some convincing to get me on vMix. I was like, I don't know, this looks like it looked like XSplit, and I was like, I'm not going to use XSplit, man. I mean,
it's fair.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fair and valid. I mean, vMix, love it to death. vMix has a very 2000s UI.
Especially back then. That was that was patch 13, I feel like. It still kind of does. It's a bit
a little blocky, but the capabilities of what it can do,
incredible.
Far beyond exceeds.
And I quickly learned that and quickly tried to push vMix to its limits as well, especially because, the owner of Access wanted us to really utilize that software and not have to buy an expensive regular switcher or anything. She just wanted Stream Decks and vMix. And I was like, all right. And so like everyone else who knows vMix now and knows Stream Decks, it's basically the future. So
I feel it's like a trend of stuff that you see traditionally in esports is that you're expected to almost do more with less.
Yeah.
At almost all levels of the game, that you have these NFL type broadcasts that are expected of a certain level of professionalism, but for a shoestring budget.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
When it comes to every broadcast company outside of, the traditional networks that absorbed everything else. You know what I'm saying? Outside of the top 500, maybe less than that, actually, probably less than that, because they're all owned by the big boys. So anyways, if you're just a regular traveling production company and you have a warehouse and some gear, you got to get shit done with way less, and Companion and vMix is a great way to do that. Having an ATEM is cool, but you're not. That's there's a huge step to get to RoS and Grass Valley and all that. So you might as well not take that if you don't have to.
You feel like it's lowered the barrier of content at all?
What do you mean by that?
What I mean by that is that when you look at where broadcast has come from. So it used to be you had to have a big truck with the analog boys that you'd plug in one, plug in the other, and you have the big chunky cameras and all of that. You've had the invention of OBS. You've had the invention of capture cards.
Yeah.
Yeti mics, right? Going into vMix, being able to stuff a card into vMix. I would argue that we're currently living in the age of the democratization of content.
Absolutely. I think it's been like that for a while, and it's only going to continue to be more like that, especially now that 16:9 is just, I guess, on its way out the door in terms of the most engaged content, the most engaged with content now with the markets that people want to tap into is not as high production value on purpose. When content is being made for 18 to 35-year-olds, that is, you want to make your money back guaranteed, and you want to make impressions and grow your brand. Like I was saying, if you're not one of the big Paramounts or Warner Brothers or Netflixes or Amazons, like, yeah, there's no reason to, you don't have to buy and sink a lot of capital into the infrastructure anymore. You could get a deck link, you get a PC, and you can do a lot of things that you just couldn't back in the day. So.
I'm curious now that you're at Warner Bros. Discovery. I forget all the companies. Sorry,
a lot, yeah,
a lot of them now. The one big amalgamation that is Warner Bros. Is that, are you having to prepare for 4x3, like the vertical integration, and like what does that look like at the highest levels now?
4x3 aspect ratio?
Maybe I'm wrong.
9x16?
9x16.
Yeah, 4x3 is sick, and I love 4x3. Everyone should go watch more 4x3 films.
Sure. But 9x16, I'm talking more like vertical integration.
And actually 4x3 is still relevant because the way people are chopping up YouTube videos now and 16:9 content to be consumed on a computer screen is they take their 9x16 vertical phone of your face shot and pair it with 4x3 classic straight up 4x3 graphics and other content in the right side of the screen. There's a lot of channels that are using that now. So it's still a thing.
What do you mean?
So if you're doing a screen grab, sorry to pivot from your question, but if you're doing like a screen grab of, that's just comparing it. But yeah. If you're doing a screen grab of like a map, let's say you're like a Twitch streamer or something, or even like, Twitch, Kick, YouTube, or even like a reaction channel, you're going to have your face shot on a 9x16 shot, or you're going to crop a regular webcam footage or whatever to 9x16 so that any shorts you make, you can just clip that part of the screen. But on the right side of the screen for your computer monitors viewers, you're going to have like graphics or things you're talking about or clips that you're reacting to in a 4x3. It's straight up just 9x16 and then 4x3 right there.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I think pivoting back to the question that I was going to is that we're talking about vertical integration, about the lowering of barriers of content. Is that something that you're seeing at the highest levels now, that they're looking on how to incorporate more vertical structures to these, what I would say, traditional linear platforms?
So you mean, I guess I'm confused, Greg. So
like if it's, if you're doing I'll throw another, like we just talked about this on the previous episode. About boxing, right? You have boxing, which boxing would probably be a 16:9 sideways broadcast. If you look at actually, I have a better example for you because you'll appreciate this. ESL, Counter-Strike, right? They have announced that they're specifically doing TikTok live streams.
Yep.
So it's not only just a 16:9 horizontal, it's a 9:16 vertical.
Yeah.
They have made a separate production line for that they are sending specifically to TikTok for people to be able to watch it. Are you seeing that type of integrations on like these more analog linear channels now?
No, not at all. And that's it's not like there's anything constraining that. I just don't think, I don't think there's there's a push directorially to do such things because they're mainly concerned about the ads they can sell on regular 16:9 screens and the clips they can make afterwards, which they will just format into 9:16. And I don't think you're going to want to go replace your cable cams, the crazy cameras you have on jibs and blimps and all that with just 9:16. I just think it makes more sense to like retrofit. For now, at least. That could change. I mean, it could change. I can't imagine all these camera manufacturers having to flip their sensors or anything.
Well, I don't know if ESL is doing that either. I think they have a specific like team that, I don't know if they have separate cameras, but they're probably taking the same camera, they're cropping it, using it for vertical.
Yeah.
I was just asking the question is as an engineer who's handling all of these channels, if that's something that has been even thought about or discussed, because there's other like platforms that are trying to do it.
Yeah, I'll expand on what I was saying too, because it's not just about cameras when you're talking about like Warner Brothers, Paramount, all these players.
Okay.
There is so much infrastructure in between a studio camera and what you see on TV. It's insane. And all of that stuff takes very specific settings to work
on it
properly. So, as an example, if you're watching CNN and you see the shot of the anchor from that camera, it goes into a regular switcher, like a RoS or Grass Valley switcher, which is 16:9, right? You have to define that. Out of that, it goes into a router, an IP router, which can take many formats. However, probably works best when it's all running the same format. Out of that router, it goes into a cloud bridge, at least in our case, like something that sends it up to the cloud, which has to have specific settings, and the manufacturer has to sign off on all the changes you make with those pieces of hardware. Goes up to the cloud, gets rendered, gets encoded, comes back down on another cloud bridge into another device called an ACO, which is all 16:9. Like, it's all 16:9. And then it gets handed off to distribution, who are in charge of the transmitters that shoot things up to satellites and gets reflected back down. All of this stuff is set for 16:9, 1080, 50i right now. At least in what I've dealt with. So, to answer your question, have to replace all this infrastructure. I just don't think it's worth it. They'll clip it afterwards. They'll retrofit it. You know what I mean?
Out of curiosity, because I don't know, what part of that chain of communication are you responsible for in your role now?
From after it leaves the control room, before it gets sent to distribution, that is what I deal with.
Before it gets sent to distribution.
So before it gets sent and compressed to be beamed up into space or encoded on a live streaming platform, because now we do both, that's what I'm in charge of right there, that gap in between. And as well as incoming feeds, sometimes, depends on the network. Yeah, everything in between the control room, the satellite / live stream, right there. Everything.
It's really cool. It feels like a lot more than what you've traditionally had.
It is definitely more. It's also way different. I'm used to being in the control room and fixing things in the control room. Definitely not satellites. I've never touched transmission like that. Never, ever, gotten to like deep into frequency science and having to communicate with things in orbit. That would be cool one day. But yeah, everything in between the control room and that is way more complex than I thought when I first started this job, and definitely deserves the attention, because that's where all the redundancy is built in. Obviously, there's redundancy outside of it, but the biggest amount of redundancy you have, and the reason why people are going to the cloud now, is because of the space that I'm talking about. It's so that you can have reliable options. You can just have plentiful options on how to recover from a disaster scenario, how to avoid that disaster scenario entirely. And every single engineer in my department, which is called Global Broadcast Engineering, is working for networks that are live at different times of day. Like our UK networks will be live until, pretty early in the morning here, and then spin back up pretty late. So, and then, you have feeds and going to New Zealand that we deal with as well. So that the team of people in my department, I think we could all agree that, like, maybe not the most important part, but one of the more important parts of traditional broadcast infrastructure merging with what we're talking about with live streams and all that happens right there.
I find that very interesting, and I want to dive into it. I want to dive into that more. I think it's going to lead to some interesting conversations. I want to kind of pivot a little bit. I have some rapid fire questions that I wanted to give you.
Okay.
They're the rapid, not so rapid questions.
Sure.
But I want to get back to your point. I think it'll come back a little bit later. How does working as both a TD and an engineer change what you notice during a show?
I'm very, even when I just watched Odyssey, I'm very particular with how things are cut together and the cadence of it and the pacing of it. I noticed that first and foremost. And obviously, if there's a fault as an engineer, if there's something wrong on screen, no matter what it is, whether it's something in the background, like something's not rendered right on a video wall or an LED, or if it's a mic popping, or if there's audio delay, I don't know. I'm just instantly thinking about what could be wrong. And then I start to lose that sight of the show. Like, my TD brain turns off a little bit, and then I turn more towards the problems that are happening. So if there's no problems, I'm paying attention to how the show's cut.
Movies? You said the Odyssey?
Yeah, dude, the Odyssey's way too punchy. Sorry, like they're too punchy, too punchy.
You're like he's switching too fast on these cameras.
It's not like it's a live broadcast, but the editor is the editor's in there, and I don't know, it's just so punchy, man. I don't know. It's just what I noticed.
It's like a directorial thing, though.
It absolutely is.
But
that's what I'm saying. Like the cadence is what I noticed first, and the Odyssey is a good example of something that is cadence based. That's not a live stream, sure, but man, they're just punching around.
So when you compare FQS with larger organizations you've worked around, where does each model have an advantage?
Well, the big boys can't show up and put on a stream for less than a crazy amount of money. I don't even know how much, just a crazy amount of money. Yeah. So like there's definitely huge portions of the market that they just can't service, which is probably a good thing, because then it would truly be a monopoly. You know, so you have the advantage. I would say you do more fun shows, like more unique fun shows. That's what I've noticed after not working all your shows. I just miss, having crazy amounts of fun. And I just miss having to solve very, very niche problems, like, yeah. The big boys don't have to deal with the problems, so that's an advantage.
Well, I feel like the big boys deal with the problems, but your problems are different.
Yeah, and that's true. And
talk to me about that, right? Like, we build redundancies here, but you have to build other redundancies for your stuff, but your stuff just breaks just as much as...
I would say a little more, too, yeah.
Ours does.
Yeah. It breaks all the time, and especially with 2110 and all that stuff and the cloud encoding. There's a lot of problems that our old school broadcast engineers, which are still working there, have to learn and adapt to. So there's definitely pros and cons to both.
So talk to me a little bit about that, though, because we were hinting on redundancies. We talked about it earlier. I want to bring it back up. We were talking about 2110. I feel like that's something that you've learned at your new job, and then you told me off camera that it's not even in the spec anymore, even though that was like the spec that just came out like 2-3 years ago.
Yeah, and it's
what's the new one?
-7. It's not like too far reaching. In fact, I think it might be a sub SMPTE standard. But you don't blanket everything with 2110 anymore because, or at least when you talk about it, because there could be an option to have your signal 2022-7, which is a mode of transporting a stream where it can be merged with another seamlessly through multipath packet merging.
So rewinding a little bit just for the audience, because before everyone's brain melts, what is 2110?
IP routing. So instead of SDI coming out of a camera into a switcher, and that switcher has an SDI all the way to another video hub. Yeah. It's no longer that. It is a IP-based signal that contains six different transports or payloads is what you would call them. 6 different payloads. You have 1, 2, 3, I'm pretty sure 4 video, 1 audio, and an ancillary. I may have swapped an audio with a video there, but you get the point. There's tons of video payloads you can put in there, tons of audio payloads you can put in there, and your ancillary data. So in a regular SDI cable, your black bursts, like your old ancillary, like Scuddy triggers and all that, have to live in a confined amount of space. So your bandwidth is limited. With SMPTE 2110, you can shove way more in there and IP everything and identify every payload separately, which means if you want to only listen in QC, like Spanish audio with certain Spanish captions or something, you can pick that out, identify it, and see if there's problems with it. Same with video, and it's great for transporting large audio payloads like Atmos or anything with EC3, anything like that. Yeah. So it's just the future, and right now, we're turning SDI into 2110 because it's that important. You're stripping signals out of an SDI, putting them into 2110 format, and then shoving them in an IP router because that IP router now has all of those payloads separately for you to look at and mess with.
How more complicated? So we've played around with that here. Obviously, we did Dante, right? And I feel like that's almost the
like multicast Dante.
Baby, yeah, it's like baby 2110, where you had XLR that you convert into IP, and then you put it on a switch, and then you made sure the switch didn't melt, and then you pulled it out the other end.
Yeah,
I feel like 2110 is way more in depth and more demanding than Dante.
It is, because Dante, as a protocol, just handles all of the wrappers or shells for you around that signal. In an IP router for video payloads and streams and stuff, you have to manually assign multicast addresses to these transport streams and other types of JPEG streams and MPEG, all this stuff. You have to define it, label it, put it into your router, and if anything breaks, well, you can cause network storms with duplicate multicast. Sure. So there's problems with it, but it's like a big boy version of that for sure.
So when do you what determines whether an organization is ready for 2110?
If they have if they're willing, yes, because you're not getting, there's not a lot of vendors that sell like affordable IP routers. That's just the fact of the matter. And you need an IP router, and like the only one I've worked with is an Evertz product. It's called Magnum or SDVN.
Those are the chunky boys.
The EXE routers and the NATXs and all this stuff. Yeah, it's just so much infrastructure. If you're doing it at a large scale, it's so much. I wouldn't even say companies would be justified moving to 2110 if they don't have, like, if the scale of their productions are small enough, like, stay on SDI. Like, it's fine. What helps 2110 helps with is distance, right? And transporting things over fiber is way simpler than SDI. That's the one advantage, but again, it's just too much money. That's the main thing.
So when you look at like Warner Bros., which obviously there's a big conglomeration that's obviously happening, but a lot of these tech platforms now are starting to get away from just the technology and having to become streaming broadcast networks.
Yeah.
I think about like Apple, I think about like ESPN, I think about like Disney, even Netflix to some regard is like going to that. My question is with Apple, Amazon, and Disney becoming major homes for live sports, what changes when a technology platform also has to operate like a broadcaster?
Well, they have to and we all saw this with Netflix earlier this year when they were trying to do some football stuff. They have to all of a sudden prepare their platform for a ton of users and a ton of bandwidth going in, reliable bit rate, reliable lip sync, and I don't know their infrastructure, but when it comes to HBO Max, like we have, that's been going for a while. We've been turning our traditional broadcast signal flows into that live stream delivery.
What does that process look like?
It's actually pretty simple. All of that cloud computing I was talking about, we encode in the cloud, comes down unicast. We renat it, which we basically relabel that traffic coming in, close it off, and now we can pipe it to anywhere we want. One of those places is distribution, satellites. The other places, it's really easy. It's just a live stream encoder, right? Yeah. So you take all of that cloud encode that would have happened on a physical machine there in your broadcast center. It's now in the cloud. You don't really have to worry about it or think about it until AWS emails you saying you need to remake your instance. It doesn't change much, is what I'm saying. All that changes is now compression has to be looking at another destination.
I find it interesting that you guys are doing, obviously, a big conversion over to 2110 and this IP routing and all of this stuff, and then you're saying we're still sending things via satellite.
Yeah, because we still have customers that have cable TV and,
Dang.
Yeah.
So you have to take care of the analog too.
Oh, absolutely. We have this whole department that is, especially here in Atlanta when we get some crazy weather, we have a whole department that switches transmitters all day.
What does that mean?
So they'll switch from the Techwood transmitters, which if you drive past Georgia Tech down a couple roads, you can see all the dishes in the back.
Okay.
They'll switch from that site to another site depending on the weather. And actually, there are multiple sites.
So you have multiple satellite sites.
Yes.
Depending upon the weather, you route your traffic to then send to
a satellite in orbit. Yes. It is. It's crazy. I don't even know that much about it. I try and talk to the engineers there, and they just blow my mind every day about what they have to deal with. It's awesome.
I just remember when we did Lost Ark and we had one satellite, and we had like a certain amount of time that we had to buy.
Oh yeah.
You know, the dude with the long socks who's like, "Yeah, I got your satellite transmission right here.
Yes, sir.
Send it off into space."
And he probably has cable TV at home, and he's probably having a great time.
He probably is having a great time.
Yeah, it's very rewarding, I think, to like see all that infrastructure and just think back to a day where that was king. You know, like you have military grade technology right behind you, pushing signals into space. It's sick.
How often, now that you're having to be almost in control of all that ingest, and then what's the opposite of ingest? Digest?
Egress, right?
Ingest?
Look it up.
Okay, well, all right. So the point is that you bring in all that data, you're pushing out all the data.
Yeah.
Right? Is there, and you're now in control of that. Obviously, there's things that you can control, there's things you can't control. At what layer is it something that you can't control, or you have to like supersede control? Like, for instance, Amazon had a Hornets game that went down in overtime.
Oh yeah,
because the production truck failed.
Yep.
Like, at what?
Oh, if there, yeah. Sorry.
No.
If there's a site failure, there's a site failure. I mean, there's going to be backups. So we use like if you watch a CNN field reporter and they're in some like really densely populated area, it's going to be a little glitchy and spotty, and maybe they'll drop out. Like, you just accept that. Sure, there's redundancies built in. We use live view, high vision, even some other things that I don't know if it's proprietary or not. So I don't know if I could say, but it's crazy levels of redundancy. But when that production truck goes down, I mean, yeah, you're out LS.
So what is it? At what point do you guys determine that like outages were preventable or not? I guess is the question.
Okay.
I have. It's like, when do you determine whether an outage on either your side of the fence or their side of the fence was like a preventable thing, to be like, hey, like there's nothing that we could go and do to make this better?
When it comes to the on-site and the crew there and the truck, where I'm used to being, I think I can say it just comes down to the redundancies we were trying to introduce here. You know, your power redundancies. Like, the first questions that are going to be asked is, how could the kit in the truck be more prepared for this outage, right? Whether that's a SDI router going down on the truck, or your switcher burning out, or your generator's not working or something. That all it makes sense to a lot of people because it's more traditional and it's been around for a while, those types of problems. My side of the fence, when it comes to the cloud stuff and network hits and major network infrastructure companies having fiber cut, I mean, there's nothing. We follow tickets all day where people are out in the middle of Germany digging up fiber because a railroad line had work done on it and it just cut a fiber that's 10 feet in the ground. You know, like, you can't really predict that, or you can plan for it, which is why we have 4 colos around the world. I forget what it stands for. It's just a data center with probably other broadcast companies' infrastructure in there too, but we pay for a slot in that data center. And it has all of our gear.
Why there's a data center coming down the street, huh?
Well, no, actually, no.
I'm kidding.
And if we were, I'm sorry. No, it's like, I don't know. There's things you can be prepared for, and there's things you try and remedy, but at the end of the day, cables are cables, signals are signals, shit's going to drop.
So what are the ones then, and the ones that you can't control, what you have to build now in your job and make sure you baby that it doesn't melt?
So the main thing we use, and which is what you've heard me talk a lot about, I love talking about this piece of hardware, it's called an ACO.
Okay.
And it's an automatic changeover. It's a product by Evertz. And I'm sure other vendors have the same exact product for this scenario. But basically, remember when I was saying all the cloud encodes come down to a device and then are passed to the ACO? There's a level of redundancy in the cloud already. Our gold networks, which are the big boys like CNN, HBO, True TV, TNT, TBS, all these networks have 4 levels of redundancy in the cloud. You have 4 encodes of the exact same stream in the cloud. And all of those encodes are happening in the EU, 2 in the EU West availability zone, 2 in the US East availability zone. So that's another layer of redundancy. When all those come down into colos, they are then natted and pushed into an ACO. So you have 4 independently redundant streams, 2 of which are another level of redundancy coming into an ACO. And that ACO uses -7, which is what we were talking about, to merge those streams into a single stream, according to what we see. It's still identifying them as separate feeds, but all you see is one output. And if there's any packets dropped in one of them, it's automatically changing over to those other feeds on its own. And all that comes down to is the encode has this many packets in this order. If the ACO identifies any packets out of order or if they're dropped, it's on, the speed of light is your constraint there, and it'll switch back and forth on its own.
Show me there's also like a caveat about that, because then you won't know if you go to the backup or something.
Yeah, I mean, which we would definitely notice because we have probes, but if you weren't looking at your monitoring software, if one of those went hard down, like let's say one of the cloud encoders just went offline and you don't know.
Pooped.
Yeah, right. You will never know unless you look that the ACO is working overtime to make sure that you're still getting video. No, because we have alarms. We have.
Is it like alarm? It's like a wee, like a.
Some people do literally. Yes, it's like a, and it's tied into Slack.
It's like, oh!
Yeah. Well, I mean, we got 10 TVs in our shop that are just alarms, multi-views, and stats and all that. So there's never a point where if something goes hard down, and even if there's 4 layers of redundancy and you just lose one, it's a big deal.
Is that? I mean, obviously you have around the clock. You have to have people who are ultimately watching for one of those to break.
Yeah.
Is it some? I don't even know how I want to like phrase my question. Is it that how close do you have to actively watch it? You said you have it on your Slack and you guys have it anywhere. What are the points where you're like, oh snap, I have to call somebody else because this is like huge?
Yeah. That's when there's a colo failure or a power outage.
Oh.
Big storms. Yeah, big storms. Overheating has been an issue. Right before I got there, everyone was talking about the big hurricane that knocked out a lot of the battery backups and like fried them, I guess, because of lightning or something.
Wow.
And all of our data center machines were just slowly melting, right? These things called ITXEs, they have plastic on the front, and that was just melting, right? I heard about that.
Actually, like physically, like literally.
Literally, yes, was melting.
Oh my God.
It's because they run the cooled temperature of that device is 85 degrees Celsius. So without cooling, you can imagine, it gets hot.
50 degrees Celsius.
Yeah, you're burning your hands for sure. But no, other than that, I mean, we have GPS clocks that sync all of our devices around the world. You call someone if one of those goes down, which I had to do once on working an overnight shift. There's also, the main thing you call people about, though, is automation nowadays. So we have a lot of automation built into our cable TV networks, and even the live stream stuff. When it comes to it's so hard to explain. When you watch TV, it's a giant playlist. You should know when you're going into an NBA game, that is a live line on a playlist. When you come out of that NBA game,
that feed and goes, this is the thing, bring it now.
And so many systems are relying on this automation to time everything and send out certain scuddy messages. Yeah. Yes, exactly. And even when it comes down to caption scheduling and all this shit. And so when automation goes down and there are core nodes, which all live in the cloud, again, everything's in the cloud. When those things fall over, we got 8 or 9 levels of redundancy there. You're calling people. For sure.
So brings up another point. You guys are leveraging a lot of stuff in the cloud. You guys have large capital to deploy to have when do you decide that you're going to locally host something that is better for you to locally host it because you have the resources versus throwing it into a data center and letting someone else handle it?
Never, because everything was officially cut over to the cloud this time last year. There's not a single network that we own. Yeah, that's not in the cloud.
What do you think the reasoning behind that was?
I'm not up there in these discussions. I'm a very small ant.
Yeah.
But I think it is because our data centers were too expensive. And we probably, if I had to guess, probably have a deal with Amazon for X amount of, years, X amount of services. I'm just theorizing here. I have no idea, but it's got to be something like that at that level.
So then talk to me about, like, what's the standard of reliability that viewers should expect when a major sporting event is exclusive to a streaming platform? Like when you guys are doing something on TBS, or something on, I don't know, CNN exclusive.
What is the level of?
Is there any more attention, or do you guys call people in order to make sure that that part goes well versus something that's like multicasted to multiple networks? That's
definitely. So a great example is the Olympics this year. We NBC had it here, obviously in the States, but we were responsible with the biggest. I forget what they called it, but the biggest presentation of the Olympics in the UK and Europe, parts of Europe in the UK. When they turn on the TV to watch the Olympics, like we would do here, we would see NBC. Over there, they would see TNT Sports. So when that type of event happens, you have these things called hypercare bridges where engineers from multiple departments all get on a Zoom call for days, right? Even shifts change. And the
Zoom doesn't end.
It doesn't end. Yeah.
For people.
And if something comes up, and you're responsible for it, and you can fix it, you can quickly tell everyone else, I'm fixing this. This is why it happened. Go use this use case scenario. I don't know how Amazon and Netflix do it. Netflix definitely is still probably getting used to all this stuff because they haven't really done that much, taking the traditional live broadcast infrastructure and pushing it into a live stream. That they probably, are still figuring out what the best, practices are, right? So,
as someone who is a fervent esports follower, do you ever feel that like esports will get to that level of like redundancy and safeguarding that you have to do at the linear level?
Ever? Maybe. But right now there's a good amount of redundancy on ESL shows and Blast shows. You wouldn't...
Dr. Plowman, I guess.
Yeah, I could definitely... He would know way more about this. Yeah. I don't even pay attention to Riot broadcast, so I don't know. Or I've never been met...
You just only watch your Counter-Strike.
Pretty much, man. Pretty much. But I know that ESL, they take pride in having redundancy there and backup encoders on backup encoders. And but you really don't need what Warner Brothers has until you own a giant media conglomerate with so many channels. We're managing.
How many are you managing at one time?
God, over 100. Like
100
stations, yeah. Because you have UK channels, you got the Nordic channels, you got the New Zealand channels, you got the American channels. I mean, there's our multi-views of every. It's crazy.
So is it interesting? Side note: we were just talking about the infrastructure stuff on the previous episode. With Leo, and he was talking to us about how a lot of fiber runs through the Strait of Hormuz, and that becomes a contention point, right, of data traffic, of being able to linearly send to other places, and then that kind of raises the stakes on what's happening in the area. I don't know much about where data flows in different places, but do you guys have a lot of geographical like restrictions almost on like where your data flows? If there's a war that breaks out in a certain country or somewhere else, you have to route data in separate places in order to make sure it gets to New Zealand, in order to make sure that you guys get to your, like, obviously oil, it's like, right. It's a river, it's a boat. Yeah. You got to get it through to get it out. I never really thought about it as data. It's an interesting perspective. Yeah. I was curious if that's something that you guys have to deal with when you're delivering data across the world.
There's only one path that I'm aware of that is, I don't know. It's very important. It's the only one everyone talks about because primarily the people who watch our networks are in Europe and the US. Yeah. That transatlantic line,
big chunky cable,
miles and miles and miles of fiber at the bottom of the ocean. Like, that is the one people always talk about and joke about. But we do have an Abu Dhabi CNN location, and there's definitely switches there that I see going, flapping all the time, and I'm like, oh my God, what's happening there? But that, that's more of probably like a network architect question.
That's something that you guys have to be responsible for. You're like, hey, the transatlantic fiber line is getting bit by a shark, and someone needs to go send a boat out there. And
if it affects our ORTs, yeah, we will follow the tickets that the vendors have created, like Equinix, Silicon Valley. They're big.
Yeah,
they are the ones who are digging the trenches for the fiber, laying the new fiber. All this stuff is them. And obviously they're probably contracting ships to lay it at the bottom of the ocean, all that. But we wouldn't be responsible for it, but we are responsible for updating people on the progress of such repairs, if that makes sense.
Oh, like your vendors or your programmatic advertisers of like, hey, we're working on X. And
even like, well, we're just supposed to tell the people above us what's going on because they're answering the questions. So, yeah.
That's crazy.
It is. It's really like that German example I brought up earlier of a cut fiber line. Like I was the person giving my boss's boss the information on the ticket that I was reading of like what the progress is. And they're like, oh, they're sending a field engineer out there right now. And then the field engineer can't work because it's outside of union hours. So we have to wait 4 more hours, all this stuff. So,
yeah. I mean,
it is what it is.
What are you going to say?
Yeah,
unions,
and that's it. That's all the information that we're responsible of passing.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's very up. See, look, and then there's a shark.
Look at that
fiber line.
Look at that
fish. That we're gonna go be a scuba diver. Gonna go down there and I've seen how people go and fix have to splice fiber together, like
screw that.
And in here, like just
Yeah.
outside in the sun. I couldn't imagine being like a scuba diver and then being like, all right, I have to have this dry area or whatever in which I work that I'm going to be, you know.
Yeah. I mean, they place on long runs like that. There's definitely these little jumpers in between. So like you can tell if the fiber cut is before or after a specific section of the cable, but that's probably still like hundreds of meters that you have to suss out. At that point, maybe even just cut it all and replace. I don't know. It's a horrible job.
Yeah, if there's like so many different. It's like when you have fiber lines here. There's so many different fibers that are going to different places. If the whole thing gets cut, then there's a whole bunch of people who are having a problem.
Yes,
but
like from that parent line to the hub. Yeah.
Well, we're running out of time for this episode. I'm getting indications that we need to wrap it up and move it along. But I had a couple of wrap-up questions that I want to go and ask you.
Okay.
But if you're building a live production company for the next 10 years, which technical capabilities would you invest in first?
Technical capabilities?
Yeah.
Let's see.
So let's say that obviously now 2110 is coming out.
Yeah.
Right. You have infrastructure and IP. We're building the production company of the future.
I would say automation. If you want to be
automation,
I mean, how much are you broadcasting and what is it for? That's my question because there's so many specifics you get into.
Yeah, I guess so. If you're gonna go into live news, or if you're gonna go and do like a one-off live stream,
like you just can't have someone on a second switcher like they used to at the master control level constantly cutting to commercial like you can, but you're gonna be missing a ton of other functionality that operator could be bringing to the channel if it's a 24/7 thing. If it's a case, a production show-by-show basis, I would say the ability to cloud encode, it would save you a
cloud encode.
Yeah.
I think we talked about that.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of did, but
a little bit.
It's something that
just vMix in the cloud. Is that what we're like?
Not cloud switching, no, but clouding.
Well, I mean, I was using vMix is just
it's like an encoder.
You can use OBS encoder in the cloud.
Yeah,
we have baby toys here.
That's just something I would look into when it comes to like the cost of all this stuff. I see our AWS budget and all that, but I don't really get granular. I don't have the data on what all this stuff costs. But I would say, like in theory, if it's cheap enough, if I was building a company, probably like low level. Automation's not the right word, but like at what Carson's scenario is, where like the control rooms in CNN, all of a sudden there's going to be one person in each control room. All that stuff.
That's what, I mean, we could talk about that. I mean, is that?
I think it's the future. Yeah,
the future is just going to be.
It's going to be one person
control room. With
and I wanted to rant about this on this podcast.
Well, they rant about it. Like this is the moment we got.
I just think it's. I come from like a team sports background, and just everything I want to do in life is with a team, and I just love working with other people to accomplish a goal, and there's something about, especially live programming, there's something about a bunch of people coming together and working on a project and putting their all into it and having it turn out great. That is like so rewarding. And all of a sudden this shit is coming out where you will have one person on the production line, maybe two, at most two, right? And that's what you're taking away so many people. Director and like a producer. That's
not even a tech.
No. I mean, you'll call an engineer if you have trouble, but they're going to get it to a point where there's not going to be much stuff to fix. So I just think it's tragic. And I know it's the future and it's saving costs. And at the end of the day, these companies exist because they can turn over earnings reports and stuff like that. But man, it's sad. It's sad.
I want to I'm gonna want to open it back up then with this conversation, because I think there's an interesting point to be made here, right? Like, obviously AI is coming in,
Yeah.
cost over software, what can be automated, what can't be. You've worked in a lot of different positions on the line. I'm curious, in your opinion, where the line can be drawn, right? Like, I think that when you're talking about something like news, where it's kind of rinse and repeat, it's talking head every time. You're gonna have certain camera shots. I feel that's something that can be automated. I think that's something that has risk to it, of like, that AI can encroach on. But I think it's harder when it's like these small shows or shows that you don't have that recipe to then build the same thing and expect it to work in the same fashion.
Yeah, and just to be clear before I talk about that, the automation happening in the control room right now is less so relying on AI to analyze the shots and audio and switch things, but more so conglomerating every single position in the control room to a centralized point and relying on passive, like, management. So if someone's mic is peaking or whatever, the AI will take care of that. But the director sitting there still has control, but he is now in charge of everything. He's turning
companion.
Yeah, pretty much companion. So the automation that's happening there is like background stuff. I don't know if a company that has, large pharmaceutical contributors and all these giant companies just pressure and eyes on your news show, I don't know if you'd ever trust an AI to switch that show, just because it's just, I don't know. There's certain things I think they would want to leave up to the director always. That line in the sand, I will say now, will never be a hard line. It's always going to be a little sketch, because the longer amount of time is spent on this problem, there are really smart engineers and software developers in the world who are going to try and offer a product to automate whatever they can, to be the first ones to automate that workflow, right?
Yeah.
And that's great for them. They're brilliant and they could come up with this stuff, but it comes
jobs in the process.
It kills a lot of jobs, and also, to me, kills the spirit of like why broadcasts are fun to watch in the first place. Like, at the end of the day, like, there's a ton of people working on this stuff to make it happen, especially in the truck and in the control room and even at the master control level. Like, it's a people's product. It's for the people, by the people. I don't know. That's always been the thing for me. So
what can I feel right now it's ultimately attacking like news stations, and I feel like when I say programmatic content, I'm saying program that has that beginning and the end.
Yeah.
I feel that it's harder for that to be attacked for like other types of programming that's out there right now. One, because it's very analog and we can't afford the IP workflows and the other stuff that the traditional newscasters can.
Yeah.
What can A1's graphic ops, people who are in these production positions do to start preparing for some of these transitions? Is it moving to the smaller guys who have these jobs? Is it trying to be more fluid on what skill set they have?
Well, that I would say that comes up to what that individual wants to do in the broadcast space, because if you want to just climb the ladder as high as you can go in broadcasting, and you don't really care if you have to hop around positions and all that, learn that centralized control point. In this case, it's called Mozart. I think I can say that. Mosaic Mozart. And learn products like that, where you are the quarterback of the entire broadcast and it's all on you. You can come from any background there, as long as you have the capability to learn the rest of the control room and integrate it into one centralized control point. If you want to climb the ladder, do that. If you want to always be an A1 because audio is your passion, and you just want to mix good audio and be a professional in that space, find a consistent, freelance ring that you can just hop around and pick and choose what you want to do. That will never change in my opinion, when it comes to like smaller shows and stuff. Like,
that's what I was gonna say. Do you feel that the smaller shows are under attack as well?
I don't think so. No, unless software implementation like vMix, and there's already auto switching on there.
Is there?
Yeah, you can look up some plugins and stuff too. It gets crazy. That's not necessarily gonna span to the rest of the line anytime soon. Sure, you can have like auto mixers, like Carson set up here a little bit for noise cancellation. but you're still going to need an audio engineer and A1, you know, especially if it's a live show with a venue and crowd. You know, you need a lot of money to automate that, and you need a lot of trust in that automation. So I don't know. I have faith that the smaller stuff will still exist.
I have faith too. I think that for the small mobile deployments that, or I don't even say small mobile because that's kind of unfair. It's hard. I think in my opinion of it is that anything that is formulaic is going to have a problem. Specifically, a lot of regional sports.
Yeah,
I think, and news channels where it's essentially the same. I would be curious whether that actually could be done for esports. I feel it's too all over the place.
Yeah, well, I mean, the biggest change in esports has just been the remote productions. That's the biggest change in the last 5 years. Everything's freaking remote. It's crazy. Like, you pay attention when you watch a CS event, how many PTZs on sliders you see, and how many, like...
You think they have the remote PTZ boys? They're going to...
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I do. And I know for a fact that Blast and ESL many, many times this year have not flown out certain operators to certain events because they're relying on their control room in Sweden or wherever their base camp is to switch the show, pull up replays, all this stuff. Like, it's all remote now.
So then to that point, does it become more important to have, so like we have a studio here, right? Is it more important for us to then push the remote capabilities of a control room that the control room isn't associated with the studio? Or do you think the studio with the control room is the more important thing?
With Studio B over there, that would be a great use case for you getting remote feeds and you switching them on site. That's what I'm saying. Like, it would look like that. If you go to that Sweden location where ESL is running remote production, it would look almost exactly like that. Everyone's on a line still, but all your feeds are from halfway across the world.
And you send out there on,
and that's a Plowman. Like, Plowman would tell you a lot about the feeds getting to those control rooms.
They had that whole Striker facility, right? They built that in Ireland.
Yes, Ireland. Yes. Or no, Iceland.
Iceland?
Wasn't it Iceland?
Is it in Iceland?
One of their data centers.
Look at that research.
Yeah.
Riot Striker facility.
Yeah.
Is it?
It might be Ireland. Iceland's too out there. Right?
Iceland would be wild.
Yeah.
Have volcanic activity. Should. Where?
Unveils world-leading striker. Dublin, yeah.
I seen it.
So, yeah, all those feeds from all over the world, he could, tell you about.
That's their version of what you guys do for Warner Brothers.
Yeah, in some use cases for sure. Yeah, like we have these things. Oh, yeah, that's a great thing. We have these MFR kits, and we'll just get tons of remote feeds, and people in the control rooms here in Atlanta in Techwood are cutting through them, and there's not a single person in the control room that's not an operator, or like there's no studio is what I'm saying.
Studios you guys have across. So like the Striker thing is they wanted to have studios that followed the sun.
Yeah,
it's their whole big thing. You guys have studios that
we have so many. Yeah, it's crazy. Like especially CNN. That's the one I'm most aware of. We got Abu Dhabi. We got London, Atlanta, New York, Washington. There's one in New Zealand. When it comes to actual built-out studios with lights, gaffable, like grip-worthy studios, like where you have huge studio lights and fiber going out. Yeah, I'd say probably 6 or 7 for just CNN. I know TNT UK has a couple, and they're sitting there like it's crazy. Like for some of the CNN shows, you'll have a camera operator, an anchor, makeup artist. That's it. And then everything else is handled by people off-site. So even lighting can be dimmed and stuff remotely and touched up remotely.
Well, I mean, that's lighting over IP now.
Yeah.
But I mean, that makes it so that you have your control rooms or somewhere else.
And, it's how it'll be. And going back to the automation thing, when you think about a network like HBO that just running movies all day and shows, back in the day, people were taking out tapes, inserting tapes, and press and play manually, and they were really stressed and doing it. It's a huge time sink and tons of personnel. It was a no-brainer to put that stuff on a playlist once it was digitized. If you have more examples like that for modern day, that's what I think is going to go first.
Where's the line? Where's the line that it becomes helpful versus predatory?
Oof. I would say they're crossing it. They're crossing it a little bit when it comes to switching and being an operator.
Line.
Predatory, maybe not the right word, but just freaking unfortunate that it's possible to automate these things, which is great. But people have trained their entire lives and have decades of experience in this one profession, and now it's just bye-bye. So, yeah. Who knows?
I got one last question for you here. What is one belief about broadcast engineering that experience forced you to change?
Ooh. I mean, I used to, especially at Access Replay, just kind of YOLO, jerry rig things. Software switchers can't beat hardware.
Thanks for that, Garrett.
Yeah, I mean, shit.
Appreciate it.
I don't know. I just think saying YOLO and going out with one piece of kit, there's no redundancy. I would say the redundancy thing. Like nowadays, if I were to build a show here, I'm taking so much gear. I see the Plowman way. I'm taking so much gear if I'm building a show, and it's important and stuff now. And people can fry your tech at any point. So have some.
People can fry your tech at any point.
Yeah, I would just say just the precautionary stuff. Yeah, I used to just be gung ho, and just send it.
YOLO, just whatever it is.
Yeah, I still kind of am, but way less.
I'd also say one too is that it's just my observation. You going from a one-man show,
you need
very much to having a village to support you, I think is something at least that I've seen over working with you for as long as I have. Maybe that's just the constraints of production.
Yeah.
But I feel like, and that's probably even more now at Warner Bros. Where there's so many people and so many layers and so much stuff that it's like it takes a village to like make sure that these things go off without a hitch.
Absolutely. And just more, one thing I have just really recognized that has changed is how I deal with that on-fire problem. I was so focused on only fixing it that I didn't care back, in Access Replay and even here in certain shows, that I didn't care about how it might make other people feel on that's working on the show. So like looking frantic and me not actually being anxiety ridden, but I'm just so focused on solving the problem as fast as possible might make other people anxious and they will perform worse or something. So at the end of the day, like the vibes or a freaking field that you have emanating from you really matters in a live production environment. And I think I've kind of honed in on that, trying to stay calm and all that. So
I think that is a very deep note to end on.
Hell yeah.
I appreciate that. I think that's important. Well, Hollace, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. Absolutely.
I'm glad that we had it on here. I learned a lot.
Yeah.
More than I thought. Well, I didn't say I thought. I learned a lot more than, I don't know, my brain could store about 2110.
We'll have to do it again.
We got to do it again. Yeah. You're going to be back. But I really appreciate you being on this episode. Where can people find you?
Hollace Bain on LinkedIn. Hollace Bain, actually everywhere. So, yeah, just go to my YouTube. I like my YouTube.
You like your YouTube? That's
and SoundCloud.
So you Counter-Strike highlights?
Yeah.
Yeah, you mixtapes?
Watch me click people's heads. It's fun.
Okay. Fair enough. Well, cool. Thank you so much for being here on this week's episode. We'll see you guys in the next one. I'm Cody.
I'm Hollace. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. See ya.